Hello everybody, my name is Brandon Crane from Blockpoint Systems. We are having this webinar today in light of recent ransomware attacks that are occurring in a number of US companies. One is the Scripps and the other is the Colonial Pipeline company. We will talk about how Blockpoint and blockchain technology can prevent the encryption of databases. So Blockpoint Systems has built the world's first enterprise-ready immutable multi-version database that uses blockchain technology to bring security to the next level. Blockpoint Systems outperforms its competitors with respect to security, analytics capabilities, and cost. Blockchain technology has the potential to become a revolutionary technology in the security industry. So we will begin by explaining why all companies need blockchain secure data management. There already exists data security tech. These are normal cybersecurity companies out there, but they mainly focus on keeping criminals out. And you can picture a lock on a file cabinet. Blockchain adds a new dimension to data security. So when and if that lock gets breached, there needs to be more security mechanisms, and that's where Blockpoint comes in. So Blockpoint protects data from being illicitly modified or deleted once bad actors access the file cabinet. So traditional blockchain is compelling, but it's very difficult to implement until now. According to Deloitte, blockchain actually stands as a top 5 strategic priority case in 2020, saying that blockchain offers a compelling business case. However, the IDC says that blockchain projects are difficult to implement historically, primarily because the costs associated with setting up the infrastructure are high. However, Blockpoint has found a way to make it possible. So now we're going to talk about the security vulnerabilities that are an imminent threat to all databases and companies. So one way bad actors will encrypt your data or gain access to your files is by identifying new security breaches and ways to bypass security mechanisms, such as phishing emails and malware. The impacts of this can be manipulated records and accounts, leakages of sensitive data, and modifying the permissions and locking out user permissions. Another way bad actors can gain access into your system is from the inside, right? So corrupt and compromised users. Rogue employees and developers with malicious intent and stolen credentials can tamper with your data records. And the impacts here are high correction costs, legal costs, and of course loss of customer loyalty, which is often the most damaging. In 2020 alone, there were 2,700 critical security vulnerabilities. Now we'll talk about the Colonial Pipeline company ransomware attack that happened very recently. Their databases were held for ransom after the database was encrypted, and it could have been prevented with Blockpoint Systems. So thanks to the append-only files and the immutability nature of our database, the hackers would not have been able to hold the files for ransom through encryption. Therefore, the data could still be exported from the server and remain unmodified unless, of course, access was gained through the administrator's account. However, this is very unlikely, and if that does happen, you'll have much larger problems at hand. So Blockpoint System prevents your data from being changed. We can't remove the risk of your data being stolen due to the unavoidable vulnerabilities I mentioned in a few slides ago, but we can provide an additional layer of defense if and when that lock on the file cabinet gets breached. Also, the immutability aspect prevents unwanted changes in your database that can come from human error. So the question you should be asking yourself in this day and age is, why leave yourself open to these vulnerabilities? An immutable database is the solution to modern security issues. And another analogy that occurred in the early 2000s is, would you ever send an email from an unencrypted server? No, everyone has encrypted email servers today. Immutability is new, and it's possible to have an immutable database, so we have to make the switch to immutable databases. So Blockpoint has released its multi-version database management system that is relational, SQL compliant, and it replaces your current Oracle SQL or MongoDB system with a cost-reducing, fully auditable, and secure database management system. So now we're going to talk about immutability and why it is the key advantage for Blockpoint and why it provides all of the advantages over our competitors. So the first advantage that immutability brings is security. So real quick, when I say immutable, I mean the data cannot be changed. So because our database is immutable, we store all historical records in your database. This means we can identify any tampered data, which can protect against ransomware, data breaches, and hacks. The second key advantage that immutability brings is auditable trails. So the historical records gives the ability to run automated audit checks on your database to verify the authenticity of the data records. So this does a number of things, right? This will reduce the time it takes to become aware of a data breach, and we like to say that the data is now written in pen and not pencil. The reason being, with modern databases, our competitors, the data is written in pencil. It can be overwritten, it can be changed, it could be encrypted. Our system writes your data in pen. And number three, compliance, right? So because you have complete auditable trails, if there are any data discrepancies, you can go back and you'll be able to provide evidence and prove that your records are in fact true. The third key advantage that immutability brings is analytics. So historical records means you can view the state of the database at any point in time. And what we've done here is we've completely eliminated the need for snapshots. Prior to Blockpoint, snapshots were needed to run time series and analytics. So if I wanted to compare last week's state of the database to today's, the only way I could do that is if I had taken a snapshot of the database a week prior. But with Blockpoint, you can query any point in time. We call this time traveling. And you can time travel to any point in time and then run analytics on the comparison of the 2 points in time. And here is a visual. So we have our competitors on top. We have the snapshots. So these are data points. The only way to compare a point in time to today's is if I had taken a snapshot. But with Blockpoint, you can query any point in time and can compare it to today's. So here is a use case. Our loyal customer Willport Trust is digitalizing wills and trusts. So these are documents that are typically done on paper, which is obviously very insecure and highly vulnerable. So what they're doing is they're bringing those documents to digital. So Willport is using Blockpoint's multi-version database to provide blockchain-based money management vouchers for wealth advisors. So what they're doing is they're making sure that when grandma makes a change to her will, we want to be sure that it was done by her and not done by a bad actor. We want to prove old changes and make sure they were not illicit changes. So Blockpoint checks all changes to prevent fraud, which builds trust ultimately between the advisors and their clients. So now we're going to talk about where Blockpoint sits in the relative scheme of things. So we have the application on the right, that is your business. And then we have the storage and Blockpoint. So the storage and Blockpoint's database management system are coupled together. We will be replacing MongoDB, Postgres, Oracle, and SQL Server. We can do anything and everything that they can, but we have those added benefits that immutability brings: security, auditable trails, and analytics. And if you need one last reason to switch, we'll talk about pricing. So Blockpoint is a much more cost-effective solution. We have MongoDB on the left, SQL Server on the right, and Blockpoint in the middle. And these are three separately sized businesses. We have the developer size, the business size, which is a small to medium-sized business, and then an enterprise size. So you can expect anywhere from 11% savings on MongoDB at a developer tier, and 85% savings from SQL Server. And then it goes down to 33% and 70% from SQL for both the business tier and the enterprise tier. So great significant savings to be had, and also you're going to get all those benefits that we mentioned before. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed learning about Blockpoint and blockchain technology and how we are the key in preventing the encryption of databases, such as the encryptions and ransomware attacks we saw with Scripps Hospital and the Colonial Pipeline Company ransomware attack.